So team, we'll try this again after my blooper yesterday with not doing any audio. And so we're picking up on the first two Make a Difference moment videos. The theme across all of these is to live a life of significance. And so some of you may think this is crazy that I'm doing this, or it's out of vanity, but that's really not the case at all. It's really out of the want that all of you could not make the same mistakes that I've made in my life. You know, there's this saying that goes, a smart man learns from his mistakes and doesn't repeat them, but a wise man learns from the mistakes of a smart man and avoids the mistakes altogether. And over the years, Lois and I are 67 years old, and over our years, we've made many mistakes, many of them more than once, some of them more than twice. So this really is, the whole purpose of this is really out of, if I could just sit all of you down and you ask me what really matters, this would be the kind of stuff I'd be talking about. I don't know if you've ever seen the video, the music video, or heard the song by Kenny Chesney, one of my favorite country artists, Don't Blink. And they're interviewing this old guy, and he's talking about life. He'd lived to be over 100 years old, and they're asking him what the secret to life is. And I guess you could say this Make a Difference moment series is my version of that old man saying, "What's the what makes a difference? What really matters?" And so with that, the first week I told you the story of my dad and the impact that his life, not during his life, but through the funeral visitation, when I saw the impact that he had, what kind of significance that had on me. And because he was a man that during his lifetime truly made a difference, and I didn't really realize it until I saw the people showing up for his funeral visitation and how many people he impacted. And then that kind of set me off. I talked about the JCs, I think, during that first video. And then the last video that I did was on being an island of excellence in a sea of mediocrity. And that came based largely on from the book, The Eighth Habit. And that's Stephen Covey's book, which was a sequel to The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And part of that was also in The Eighth Habit. It was going from effectiveness to greatness. And you might remember that to be greatness, to get to truly achieve greatness, you've got to find your voice. And so this is the beginning of, so this is part one of my talking about finding your voice. But one of the things that's really important in finding your voice is you really got to want to find it. You got to understand that each one of us has the potential to have a voice that makes a difference beyond just what could happen by chance. And the first thing you have to do is want it. And until you actually decide that you want it, till you want to find your voice, until you want to make a difference, you're just gonna go about the process of stumbling around life, never ever finding it. But why leave it a chance when you don't have to? And I guess you can take all of this with a grain of salt, but Lois and I have found some of that secret to making a difference. And I'm not talking about that here. I'm talking about the want to. And the next series of videos is actually going to be more on the want to, be encouraging you to actually find the want to have the want to. And then we can talk about the how to. So it's interesting that in the 7th habit, there's the first 7 habits of highly effective people. The 7th habit is to sharpen your saw. And to sharpen your saw means that you've got to keep learning, you've got to keep growing, you can't get dull. He spends a lot of time in the 7th habit talking about trying to cut a tree down with a dull saw. And so part of finding your voice is to actually be continually sharpening your saw. And one of the things, like I've mentioned, I think in the past, that I do is I'm trying not to waste my drive time listening to music that doesn't matter. I try and use that time to fill my time. And I actually have been listening to a podcast lately called Win Today. And there's just been a bunch of outstanding stuff on there. And I've included a link, which I also did on the No Voice video yesterday, to Win Today. And the specific podcast in the link actually talks about trust. And then there's the video that's the most current one, and they're actually talking about never looking back. And so I'm going to just conclude those links. This is all the farther I'm going today. But as we go through the next few videos, we're going to spend the time talking about the want to, and I'm going to share stories of some people who found their voice. And none of these are superheroes. They're just everyday people, but they found their voice and they made a difference through finding their voice. And again, if Lois and I could do anything throughout Fearings, besides having a successful company, is making you successful in this company. With that, I'm going to wrap up this video, and the next few videos will just be stories of some people who found their voice and made a difference. And hopefully you'll be able to do that too. And so thank you, and hey, have a great rest of the day.